Hey everyone, my name's James and this is Music Biz News. First up this week, Amazon Music. If you recall, a few weeks ago, the Financial Times reported that Amazon Music is the fastest growing music streaming service in the world. The reason for this decision was because Amazon Music reported a year-over-year subscriber growth of 70%, which is absolutely amazing. However, in order to understand why that's not exactly true in terms of Amazon being the leading subscription service, you have to look at the numbers behind those percentages. In the first quarter of 2018, Amazon Music had 19 million subscribers. In the first quarter of 2019, that number jumped to 32 million, which is a difference of 13 million subscribers. Spotify, the current leader in streaming, had 75 million subscribers in the first quarter of 2018, and in the first quarter of 2019, the company crossed the 100 million subscriber threshold, marking a change of 25 million people. That's far more than Amazon Music, but because Spotify had a larger number to start with, the growth margin is smaller in terms of percentages. It's kind of like a math problem no one really wants to do, so it looks impressive on paper, but in reality, Amazon is still not quite keeping up with Spotify, Apple Music, and the other big dogs of the streaming industry. In a bit of sad news this week, it's always hard when we lose someone in the music industry, and it's even worse when it's a fan at an event. Richard Valadez of Chicago lost his life this week while attending a Slipknot concert in the greater Chicago area. According to reports, he was taking part of the mosh pit during the band's headlining set, and after about an hour, he was hit hard and fell out of the pit. Fans tried to help him back up, but he began seizing and they called for help. It took roughly 15 to 20 minutes for emergency services to reach Mr. Valadez, and he was pronounced dead once he reached the hospital. The band has not commented on the matter, nor has the venue, but it serves as a reminder that you need to take care of each other out there. It can be fun and it can be wild in mosh pits, but at the end of the day, you're all there to have a good time, and in order to do that, we have to look out for one another and we have to take care of one another. This weekend marks the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. As you already know, Woodstock 50, the proposed three-day event to celebrate this, was canceled due to a myriad of problems. However, one band is stepping up to keep the celebration alive. Fever 333, a hot rock band of 2019, has announced Woodstock, not spelled the way that you're thinking, will be taking place in Poughkeepsie, New York this weekend. The event will take place at the Chance Theater parking lot, otherwise known as the Brickyard, where the band will be performing along with a slew of local acts and community activists. The goal of this event is to keep the spirit of the festival alive, as the band wrote online. In the spirit of Woodstock, as well as the beginnings of this project, we will be having a free pop-up festival in lieu of the Woodstock at the Brickyard, the Chance parking lot, in Poughkeepsie, New York next week, August 16th. We would like to offer this platform to local artists, activists, and community members while we have the chance to. The group randomly selected the acts and people who will appear at the festival via Instagram, and they will be live streaming it all on YouTube. So whether or not you're in the New York area, you can still take part in the festivities. And we encourage you to, because the Fever 333 is great, and they are doing wonderful things, not only for the local community of New York, but for the world as a whole through their music. Our final story this week, Spotify is making a major play for podcasting. As you may already know, Spotify has spent upwards of $400 million in 2019 to get into the podcast market. Among that money being spent was the acquisition of two major podcast production companies. And this week, the company took its efforts even further with the release of Spotify for Podcasters. Much like Spotify for Artists, the new platform allows podcasters and podcast companies to not only get their shows on Spotify, but to track how it's being engaged with. Among the things offered to creators are the ability to follow the people that follow them, to see what their fans are listening to, what episodes are performing best, and what the tastes and interests are of everyone that enjoys their show, which in turn could help with advertising. To give you a little bit better idea of what's happening with Spotify for Podcasters, the company released a short video, which I'm going to show you a clip from right now.
Submit your podcast to Spotify and share it with millions of listeners in over 75 countries, no matter how they're tuning in. Meet your listeners and followers, learn more about who they are, and even what music they like, so you can understand your audience and pitch to sponsors. See how people respond to your episodes, which ones they enjoy, where and how they listen, and when they tune in, or zone out.
Spotify for Podcasters is available for free right now to any creators out there. Whether you already have a show and it's hosted on something like SoundCloud or Libsyn, or if you're thinking about starting a show, Spotify for Podcasters is an absolute essential. In fact, our podcast, Inside Music, is on Spotify right now, thanks to the launch of Spotify for Podcasters. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a conversation that everyone can listen to, Spotify for Podcasters is something you should definitely check out. It marks a major move for the company that should open the doors to many new opportunities for creators all over the world, and we couldn't be more excited to share it with you today. Now, real quick, to take a short break from all the news headlines, I want to ask that you subscribe to our channel. We are creating a ton of content here, including educational tutorials about the music industry, podcasts with people who are already working in music, as well as news headlines like the ones you just watched. So please, click that button. I also have to ask that you check out our sponsor. Holix is the industry standard for music promotion. Artists like Metallica, Tool, Blink-182, Chance the Rapper, and thousands more turn to Holix every week for their promotional needs. And you can too by starting a free trial today at holix.com. The address is right there at the bottom of the screen. And lastly, whether you like this show or you hate this show, we want to hear from you. So please, leave a comment below, tell us what you'd like to hear, tell us what you don't want to hear, and we will follow up with you. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't care about any of the things I just said, then at least take care of yourself, because you deserve it.